Welcome to the show. How you doing? It's Marshall. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's interview time, and I have a very special guest here with me today. You guys all know him. You all love him. He is the suit and tie guy. How you doing, suit?
I'm fine. Thank you for the very flattering introduction.
I want to say thank you very much for joining me here today to do this interview. We've been kind of chatting for a little while, and I'm glad that we were able to get together and do this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Cool. So I figured it'd be good to kind of start off with just chatting a little bit about Suit and Tie Guy and the Suit and Tie, or the Suit Tie Guy Sound Labs, the company. You manufacture modules, and
yeah. I build both. Here, let me move the camera a little bit and see if that helps the frame. Ah, there we go. How's that look?
You're centered.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I build synthesizer modules in both Moog and Eurorack format, and I've been doing this since 2005. I'm the guy that when Tony Rolando built his first ring modulator, called him up on the phone and said, "You should use these jacks instead," and this and this, and he followed all my advice, and now he's king of the world, and I'm really proud of him.
Oh, awesome. So how did you get into that business? Were you into synthesizers at a young age and or electronics, or how did that all go down?
Okay. Basically, I was I went to high school in the Midwest, here in Illinois in the 90s, when everyone was wearing plaid and ripped jeans, and all the big deal was that grunge music, and I never really got into that.
The grunge.
I was the guy that was listening to Tamita and Emerson, Lake and Palmer when I was in high school, and being into Emerson, Lake and Palmer, there's two things that I like more than anything, and that is the Moog synthesizer and the Hammond organ.
Wow.
And now I collect Hammonds. I've got 8 Leslies and 4 consoles, and I've been playing Hammond for a long time now. And yeah, basically, like I wanted to get into modular synthesizers. I thought that I was going to buy a synthesizers.com system, and what wound up happening instead is that I accidentally started manufacturing synthesizer modules.
Accidentally.
I got kind of kind of by actually, like, almost completely accidentally, because I was like getting into the synth DIY thing, and I wanted to do, instead of DIY, I wanted to do DIR, do it right.
Right.
And so I
like that. DIR.
So what I basically learned how to do every step of manufacturing, and then by the time I was done with that, like, I realized, like, oh shit, I've sold almost my entire studio except for my H3000 and my Akai S5000 and a Hammond organ. That's all I have left, like,
right.
Because I sold everything else to pay for Moog 901 oscillator clones, which never even got done. So and then I made an agreement with Yves Usson, who is he's a brilliant synth DIY guy who designed the inside of the Arturia Brute, the Mini Brute.
Okay.
And I got a couple of circuits from him, and had my friend Joe Grisso lay out the circuit boards for him, and I got into manufacturing, and I've been at it ever since.
So do you?
I used to build and. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to ask you. You manufacture all in house there, or?
Well, I obviously use a degree of contract manufacturing. All the SMD work is outsourced to a company that uses proper ovens and robots and things like that. And what I do here is all the hand assembly. I used to actually do the fabrication of the sheet metal front panels too.
Mm-hmm.
But, that became accuracy became more important than the, having my fingers on the product.
Yeah.
So,
and it's probably lower cost.
So I wound up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yes and no. I mean, labor-wise, it just have somebody else CNC your panels. Like, don't fabricate your own panels.
Yeah.
Save your, like, allow the economic concept of division of labor to work in your favor, and just have somebody else do that.
Yeah.
That's my advice to anyone starting out in synthesizer manufacturing right now. Don't fabricate your own panels.
Yeah, prototyping, that's fine, but going into production, you probably definitely want to have someone else do that.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. You were saying?
I don't even remember.
Oh.
It's okay, though.
Okay.
I've got a Moog One behind me.
Yes, so do I. Samesies.
And the Moog One video backdrop club.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, you're the one asking me questions.
Oh, right. Well, we were just talking about
the interview.
We were talking about STG Sound Labs, how you got into manufacturing modules. So.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I used to build in 4 formats.
Okay.
I used to build in. So I build in Moog format or American format. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to call it Moog format or American format. And Eurorack, and I used to build in MOTM and Frac Rack as well. The reason that I stopped is that I got more complaints than orders in MOTM format. Like, I had more people complaining about the way my modules looked in MOTM format than I did orders. And Frac Rack was just too redundant with Eurorack as well. So I decided to focus on the Moog format, the Alpha and the Omega of modular synthesizer formats, and Eurorack format, which is what I hope will eventually pay for apartments I need to build above this building.
Well, and Eurorack's really taken off. A lot of people are really into that format, and you spend a fortune building a Eurorack module synthesizer. It's pretty crazy. So, how did you transition? So Knobcon's a thing that you put on every year, and we just had Knobcon number 7 in September this year, which was a fantastic event. I went, dragged my girlfriend along, and we had a blast. And how did Knobcon become a part of your thing? Okay, so here's what happened. We had some synth meets in Chicago that were put on by some locals, and they were gaining a lot of momentum. We had one synth meet that actually lasted 2 days, and I actually hosted it was like on April 2nd and 3rd. So I hosted a party on the Friday of that weekend, which was the 1st. So it was April 1st, 2011, and I called the party Keep It Foolish, which is a Nathan Barley reference for anyone paying attention. And it was such a great party. I had this party in this hilarious office of this, like, one of these companies that thinks it's a tech company, but it's actually a marketing company inside a building across the street from the Sears Tower in Chicago. And it was a fantastic party, and I was like, I really like this. And then those synth meets, that was the last synth meet that those people put on, and I was like, someone has to kick this up a notch. We have to go to the next level with synthesizer events. That, like, our community needs something, like a convention. Yes.
We need a proper convention. And so my mom had spent 20 years when she was in the state and national PTA doing convention planning. So she was on the Illinois State and the National PTA convention planning committees. Okay, so she had a lot of experience with convention planning, and I put on punk rock shows in the '90s, so I don't give a shit. I just want to get things done, right? So these two energies can come together, and that's basically what Knobcon is. Knobcon is a punk rock promoter turned synthesizer manufacturer, and his mother, who used to be involved in PTA convention planning, getting together to create the world's only synthesizer convention. And I will continue to call it that, no matter what.
It's it's turned into quite the event. So this last year, do you have an estimate of how many people showed up for that?
Yeah, we had almost 1,000 people.
Yeah,
we had enough to say almost 1,000 people. So I'm pretty happy about that. It's finally Knobcon has finally this year became the event that I always hoped that it could be, and it made me very happy. I was very touched by the dynamic this year.
We were all super impressed, and all the big companies are there. The cool thing is, from my perspective, going to an event like that, obviously I love synthesizers. That's a huge plus. But a lot of the local retailers, at least in my area, don't carry some of the big boys, some of the flagship synths that many of us would like to play and test out and see if we want to invest our money into something like that. Go into an event like this, I had the opportunity to play them all. It was great. And that's just one.
And the gear is nice. I like having the gear there, and that was definitely like the first anchor to drop, for the event. Like as far as like what the first point of focus was on gear, right?
Yeah.
But from the get-go, there's also like a live music aspect to it.
Sure. I
wanted to have an atmosphere of as much of a party as possible, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think you guys totally nailed it with the musical lineup that you guys had on the Friday night, all the events that were in the other rooms, including some DIY synth building stuff, which I thought was really cool. So it was just chocked full of all kinds of stuff to do, and yeah, very, very party-like atmosphere. I agree. A lot of cool people there too. I met a lot of.
Let me introduce you to my. So this little guy's been in the studio since 2006. I'm not sure if anyone can. His name's Blackula.
Blackula.
That's my cat. His name is Blackula. I love this little guy.
You gotta have a studio cat.
Hey.
Cats in the studio,
Studio cat. Yeah, studio cats are important. Look at little Bubs.
Yes.
That guy's like a millionaire now, right?
Yeah.
Because of his studio cat.
Exactly. So that's awesome. So Knobcon #7 was a huge hit, big success. Plans for next year? Anything that we should know about?
Well, it's going to be the first weekend after Labor Day again, September 6th through the 8th. Mark your calendars. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about it other than it's going to happen at the same place, and we're going to have even more fun than we did last year.
That's awesome. That's all we could ask for. All right, Suit? So awesome. So Knobcon was great. Again, that was something I went to this year. It was my first synthesizer convention ever, and it was a blast. So I highly recommend anyone interested in this type of thing, check it out. Go. It was a fun time, and maybe I'll see you there next year. But yeah. So
I've also got to reinforce that at Knobcon there's literally something for everyone.
Yes,
and that's kind of the point. Like the kind of music that we have at Knobcon is the most diverse music of any event like this you'd ever be able to go to. There's everything from noise and techno to ambient house to soul jazz. So
soul jazz.
We had like Saturday night we have run two different parties. We have like we have a hard kind of electronic thing in the the lower level ballroom that we call the big room, and we had like a 10 by 20 foot video LED video wall, and there was like apparently like 11 projections going on simultaneously or something like that too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like that, but you know, other people are upstairs in the banquet tent after the banquet, like, and we had like we were playing playing soul music on the Hammond B3 and the clavinet and some drums and
just jamming out.
Yamaha CS50, and you know, it was great. So there's literally like there's a wide variety of stuff going on, and it's not. I'm adamant that Knobcon is not a modular synthesizer event. It is an electronic music instrument event.
Yes.
And it is for people who are into electronic music instruments and the music that you can make with them, no matter what it is. And that's the priority. And if that's what you're most into, then you need to come to Knobcon and have a good time.
And you will, most definitely. They have everything. You can. It's like being in a candy store for a kid, you know, like all kinds of stuff. So,
and it's an immersive event, you know. Like you come to the hotel, you don't have to leave the hotel until it's over.
Exactly.
We have everything.
And that's what we did, except to go get some Lou's pizza. That's pretty much the only time we left. So.
Yeah. Well, you can even have them delivered. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to do that next year. Well, actually, next year I'm probably going to drive up there so I can bring some more equipment with me for making videos and stuff. But,
yeah.
Yeah,
I fully expect you to be like live streaming from the show itself next year. If you're not, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed.
Yeah, we'll definitely try and make that happen. That was my first event, so I didn't want to
Knobcon is an event.
I didn't want to go too crazy on a limb with the technology on my first time out, but now that I've kind of experienced it, I think I got a good grasp on it. Next year, definitely, I'll be doing some live streaming from the show floor. We'll try and catch up with you next time too while we're out there.
The intention is that Knobcon is an event set 20 minutes into the future.
Yes,
so you'd better be there with your Edison Carter rig all ready to broadcast.
Yes. 20 minutes into the future. You need to explain that reference. Some people may not know what that's referring to.
Okay, so anytime somebody interviews me for a video like this, I usually open with, and I think that I did it even in the Moog One video.
Yeah, you did.
20 minutes into the future.
Amos looked at you with a weird, what? That was hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, like there was this TV show called Max Headroom, and it was set 20 minutes into the future, and it was about a future where it's illegal to turn your television off. There are 500 channels, and it's a economically stratified, like dystopian cyberpunk nightmare world, and I think that it's the greatest. I think Max Headroom and The Prisoner are the two greatest TV shows ever made.
Yes.
And
from your recommendation,
like
I've started watching The Prisoner based on your recommendation.
Oh, good,
Yes.
good, cool. Yeah, they're like the two most relevant television shows ever produced. As far as I'm concerned. But no, like so in Max Headroom, Edison Carter is a television journalist. And the way that television journalism works in the Max Headroom world is the journalist goes out there with his own camera and does all of his own shots, POV, and then there's a live connection to the network, and then he is live broadcast over the network in real time. And, I mean, essentially, like, it was like vlogging. I mean,
right.
You know, if you just take Max Headroom and you take every reference to television and you replace it with internet, like it's
the same thing.
it's breathtakingly accurate. So,
which is crazy.
But anyway, so speaking of the future and speaking of, you know, of this medium that we're using, YouTube, which I've been using since it started. You had a clip queued up, I think, that you were going to play for people.
Yes. This we have to talk about this. This is a highly successful video.
Anthem trance music
on the Suit and Tie Guy
YouTube
channel.
Lead sound. Supersaw lead is
world's biggest trance lead.
7 stacked sawtooth oscillators. Also
by weight, not timbre.
Right.
I didn't think that 7 sawtooth oscillators was enough, so I decided to borrow my
Some
friend's
people got the
Prophet
joke,
10
and some
here.
people didn't.
And,
See, there's a Prophet 10.
into my modular synthesizer.
Oh, this is this.
So that was the first modular that I
there's
built.
Pictures of Sarah Jane Smith for good luck. Isn't that nice? Okay, is in full unison mode, being triggered from MIDI by my Zox box. As you can see, you got both oscillators set to the sawtooth wave. They're all slightly sort of detuned, you know. And the Zox box is sending gate signal and CV into the modular synthesizer, but MIDI into the Prophet 10. It's also synchronizing the CR8000. Not really a trance drum machine, but it'll have to do. It is at least analog. And of course, we get a bass line coming in from the Roland Juno 6. So, let's hear what 20 CEM oscillators sound like through the STG Sound Labs radiophonic accessory system. I'm not sure if this is the world's biggest trance lead ever produced, but I would like to see somebody top it. That's right, 20 sawtooth waves. Okay, here we go.
Well, here it comes.
Ready? Oh, that's pretty big. Yeah. Oh, put your hands in the air.
Oh my God. And the comment section on this video is hilarious. You guys need to go check it out. While you're there, subscribe to Suit and Tie Guy's YouTube channel. It's fantastic. But the comment section on this video is hilarious.
Yeah, that video is how I learned that YouTube was a toilet.
Yeah.
So
quite literally.
It was a character building experience. You got you got 50,000 views and like 40,000 of them are hate watching.
Right.
So like,
oh, it's so funny though.
but you gotta have a good attitude about that stuff.
Absolutely.
Like seriously, like if you can't draw energy from negative comments on YouTube, then you need to not do the media.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't be on YouTube then. I would imagine. Because that's part of the game. You know, you're going to get people that, no matter what you do, even if you do a perfect job on anything, a review or a demo, like, you're still going to have haters out there. And that's okay. I mean...
Yeah, but my point is that, like, the quality of the negative comments can often be an indicator of how good of a job you're doing.
Yes, that's true, too.
So, you know, definitely, like, don't discount that stuff.
Yeah, because you can actually get some good feedback from the negative comments as well. So.
Sometimes as well. Yeah, I there's a difference between like constructive negative comments and just toilet comments.
Right.
and I'm saying that even from the toilet comments, you can gauge how good of a job you're doing. You know, if you get a lot of extremely low quality pushback, you know that you're bothering the right people.
Yeah. That's a good point as well.
One of the reasons why the only thing about, you know, me and social media that I have to be careful with is that I do actually, because I did learn that early on, it's easy to fall into the trap of like actively trying to get as much low quality negative comments as possible.
You're trolling. You're trolling the trolls.
Yes, yeah. You have to, like, don't let the chat room troll you. You need to troll the chat room.
Yes.
Always keep that in mind. Something I was really happy about in that Moog One video you talked about is that somebody in the chat room asked why I had, what was the USB stick sticking out of the back of the Moog One, and And I just pulled it out, and I said, well, if it's bothering the chat room, I can just remove it.
Oh, that's hilarious. So yeah, speaking of the Moog One, Suit was a beta tester of the Moog One and did some sound design. So some of Suit's patches made it onto the machine. Wanted to talk to you about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
What was it like being a beta tester of the Moog One, and how did you get involved with that?
Okay, well, I've been friends with Amos since I said 12 years in that video, but I just like I keep an envelope around. Hey, William, could you do me a favor? I needed to get something for me. Could you go over to the refrigerator? And to the immediate left of the refrigerator, sitting on top of the broken espresso machine, there's a manila padded envelope from Moog Music. Thanks. So, yeah, I know those are some funny instructions. Like, yeah, like next to the refrigerator, on top of the broken espresso machine. Hey, like, this is just the way things are here at SCG Sound Labs, and either get used to it or get the fuck out. Anyway.
Right.
So yeah. I actually, yeah, so I got this right here. Is this coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I just doxed myself. That was my address.
We can put a blurry on it.
Oh, let's bring it up again then. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, please blur that out down there, the address of the studio.
Yes, we'll blur that out.
Okay, so I got this. And this, what this is it's a envelope containing a broken mod wheel from Keith Emerson's Mini Moog.
Oh my goodness!
And Amos made a thread on Harmony. I know him from the Harmony Central forums, from the Harmony Central Keyboard Synths and Sampler forum, which was an exciting forum back in the mid-aughts, basically. And he made a thread saying, like, hey, I have these, like, this broken up bits of Keith Emerson's mod wheel from his Mini Moog. Does somebody want them? You know, like, post a response and tell me what you're going to do with it, and I'll send it to you if I think you've got the best idea. And I basically told him, I made a post saying that I was going to, like, put it in a glass case and, like, you know, with, like, a I can't remember what I said. I had the most exciting concept for what I was going to do with it, which I think is funny because I've still got it in the envelope, right?
Right.
So, like, what we're going to have to do at some point is actually open it up. But this envelope is dated July 30th, 2005. So
oh my goodness!
That's how I met Amos.
Well,
that's when we started talking.
You need to get that rolling, sir. Get that out of the bag. Yeah. That's pretty cool, though.
Sometimes I can be a procrastinator.
Yeah, I guess. The ultimate. So that's cool. So that's how you met Amos, is on the forums. And then how did you get involved with the Moog One?
Oh, well, I mean, by just, you know, we've just been talking for so long, and he knows, like, what my skills are, and he's seen, you know, like, believe it or not, you can believe it or not, I mean, I found this is kind of also like kind of a dangerous thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I found through the course of doing what I do that you can insult your way into being a product developer. Apparently, like I used to do a lot of posting on these web forums, and I was a lot edgier back then, I guess. Or,
a little more bombastic.
I was a little more bombastic, and I was highly critical. But a lot of my criticisms were right, and then I applied those thought processes to my own products, and I have a product line that I'm extremely proud of now. So, yes, you can insult your way into being a product developer, but it has to be your own products, like not somebody else's.
Right.
So,
So what was,
but anyway, yeah. I think that like that's how Amos, so we were our friendship survived that, right? And like all sorts of
Well, yeah.
like I used to be, but no, everything it's nice to have friends like that,
yeah.
and like so he had a really I believe he was project manager on the Sub 37, but I don't know if that's something I don't know. I'm pretty sure he was. He was on this too. That's so yeah, like they he wanted me there, and
you said yes.
5 weeks. Yeah, I said yes, and I spent 5 weeks of my life in North Carolina and Bristol, Virginia.
Cool.
This year.
So you saw it.
I've given this thing 5 weeks of my life so far.
Well, hopefully.
But that company's given it a lot more than that. They put a lot of eggs in that basket, and I want to see it do as well as possible. I think that it's the most exciting synthesizer ever built.
I agree with that.
And the people that developed it are good people, and they've put everything they have and more into this product, and it is an extremely high quality instrument with fantastic concepts in it, and it's just amazing.
I've been telling people, like, since this was rumored, like, if this was real, it's the dream Moog synthesizer, and I would do whatever I had to get a hold of one, and I was lucky to get a number 7. Serial number 7 over here. So it's
that's really cool.
Yeah. And I
don't know what serial number I'm going to wind up with.
What's the one right behind you? Is that not yours? You gotta give that one back?
No, this is property. No, this is property of the Moog engineering department.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
At some point, this goes back to Asheville.
Okay. So how many of your patches?
I think that this is 20.
Okay.
I have 20 patches in the Moog One.
Cool.
And I did send you my user space.
Yes, and I need to get that loaded up and take a peek. That was pretty cool. That was really, really cool of you. Thank you for that, Suit.
You're welcome.
I've been spending...
I'll periodically post my user space. I'm going to do a video in a bit where I go through all of my patches and demonstrate them, and then also include a link to my personal user space, so Moog One users can just add that to their user space collection.
Now you did this. Can you see that? This one's one of yours, right? The cool piano, cool piano dude, just like the shirt. Is that one of yours?
Yes, cool piano dude is a electric piano patch that is kind of it's halfway in between a Wurlitzer and a Rhodes.
Yeah,
kind of.
I can kind of demo it for people real quick.
After...
It sounds really nice.
Yeah.
It sounds lovely, especially with that stereo panning that's going on in there.
The stereo panning is controlled by the XY pad. So if you want to hear the straight sound, turn XY hold off. And make sure the modals turn down.
Right, so then if I turn that on... Ooh, yeah.
There's two different tremolos in it. The mod wheel controls a Wurlitzer style mono tremolo, and the XY pad controls a Fender suitcase style optical panner emulation.
Yeah, you've got a lot of modulation going on in here. I don't know if that's coming off on
part of how I made it. Part of how I made it bark is to actually double up the velocity going to the filter by using filter velocity amount on the filter control itself, and then also routing it again through the mod matrix, and that created a double linear response. It's hard to describe, but I wasn't getting quite the range out of it that I wanted to by just using the primary envelope amount. I doubled it up in the mod matrix. That's a trick I learned from actually the Korg MS-2000.
I have
get different.
Actually, have two of those. Believe it or not. You
could get different sounds out of it by doubling the envelopes up in the mod matrix.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and like a lot of people don't think that the MS-2000 sounds good. The reason it doesn't sound good is there's too much headroom inside of it. So anytime you're using the MS-2000, V-patch number 1 should always be doubling up the amp envelope to the amplitude. If you do that, you get a really good beefy sound out of it, and it sounds way better. Way better. It's a fantastic sounding synthesizer.
It was my first synthesizer ever, was a MS-2000. The MS-2000B, right? The black one? Actually, it's sitting right over here.
That was the black one.
Yeah. That was my first synth ever. Followed up by SH201, which is embarrassing. But, you know, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I totally prefer the MS-2000.
Yeah.
To the SH201.
And it had a cool vocoder on it and stuff, and I liked it.
I actually used to use the MS-2000. I would have it sitting to the left of me while I was playing Hammond organ, and there's like recordings of this on my website of like these gigs I was playing where I was like I'm into electronic music, but I'm also into soul jazz, and I've always been teetering, trying to tie them together whenever possible.
Yeah.
And I did these gigs where like I would have the MS-2000 sitting to my left, and I'd start a jam with the drummer, and I'd just start building from an initialization patch. Like I'd start building a sequence with the MS-2000 with my left hand, while I'm also playing bass on the Hammond.
On the Hammond, yeah.
With my left hand.
Wow.
Which, you know, you can do because of the pedal board. But,
right, and that's quite the combination, an MS-2000 and a Hammond organ. You got some videos of that?
Sounds great. No, I wish I did.
Oh, well, you
but
can borrow one of mine. Cool. So Moog One, I think it's like you. I think it's the coolest synth ever made. But I am a Moog fanboy, you know. But it literally is. It's got every feature I could want on an analog synthesizer, and it's polyphonic. I can get some of the one of the things for me is like I like a lot of trance music actually, and so being able to produce supersaws on a Moog is incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like how the Moog One can be applied in trance music production. Amos is actually quite the psytrance guy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, one of the weird connections that Amos and I have is that we travel in the same psytrance circles. He's really into psytrance. I fell into the psytrance scene because I play ambient house.
Gotcha.
Live. So I play ambient house at psytrance parties because basically psytrance parties are they're really cool. You don't have to play psytrance for psytrance people to get into what you're doing.
Right.
I've seen amazing things. The last psytrance party that I played at, which was on a goat farm in central Minnesota, the act that played before me was a guy named Dixon, I think. I think that he goes under the name Dixon's Violin. And he's a solo violinist that uses looping tools. There's nothing, he doesn't do any kind of dance music whatsoever. And
he was jamming
people
out
in the psytrance, people in the Midwestern psytrance scene love this guy.
That's pretty cool.
They basically they like cool chill out music, but they also like the really hard clicky bass music.
Right. So
and it's
pretty wild you bring up psytrance, actually, because a buddy of mine, he has like a big arcade in his basement, like the real big cabinets and everything, and we meet up there once every 2 weeks or so. And one of his buddies came over and was talking about some psytrance stuff and kind of got me into that. So like I actually have been producing a track on the channel that's a psytrance tune. Is the first one I've made. I think it's a cool genre.
Well, it's also a really old genre. Like psytrance is basically like culturally where Goa trance turned into psytrance, and like the way that I like to explain, like in a shortcut, like when somebody's kind of mystified by psytrance, I'm like, basically, well, the psytrance scene is the part of like 90s rave culture that like didn't get the memo that it was over.
Right.
It just kept on partying.
Yes.
Okay? And that's something I find really endearing about it. Like when I got into playing psytrance parties, it was 2008. I mean, I was the only person using hardware at psytrance parties that I saw until 2016, maybe.
Wow.
It was like, so like I don't play a lot. I only play like a couple parties a year, but I love it. I love it. The people are really, really nice, and I mean, the pay is like total garbage.
Well, that's pretty much
if you get paid.
Yeah, unless you're big.
But I have an excuse. I can play as many shitty paying gigs as I want. It falls under the category of research and development for my music instruments. So
there you go. It's a write-off.
That gives me the ability to, like, okay, sure. I mean, it's like, it costs me so much to go play a show.
Yeah,
they couldn't even pay me what I'm worth.
Because
it's not even possible.
Your setup is all hardware. There's no computers at all, right?
That is correct. All hardware. I haven't used a computer live since 2006.
Wow. That's impressive.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I had an event happen where I had a 17-inch PowerBook, and it overheated at a gig when I decided to use it instead of my Hammond organ.
Oh no.
And the motherboard cracked, and I took it as a sign from God that I should never play a gig with a computer again, and I didn't.
I think a lot of people have horror stories similar to that, where the computers, they let you down in the middle of a big show, and plus not only that, like just trying to set up with the computer can be extremely complicated.
Well, hardware setups can be complicated too. Like it all depends on like what level of complexity you want to commit yourself to.
Yeah.
As far as like hardware or computer being more complicated, but I went for the complicated approach because what I wanted to do was I wanted to play live ambient house music, but with the performance attitude of the German music of the 70s, like Klaus Schulze and Tangerine Dream and Asherah Temple. And so that's what I do is and I'm not a band, I'm just by myself. So
right.
Like you take, one guy surrounds himself with gear and tries to keep from getting bored for an hour. I like to describe my music as the sound of a man panicking in slow motion.
I like that description because that's how it is sometimes.
I go out and I play a gig. I have no songs. It's all improvised. I literally want to do it in the style, because like a lot of that, like late, like when Jimmy Cauty and I'm not sure if you know where ambient house comes from, but basically this band called the KLF that you may have heard of, a primary influence of mine. I think they were the most punk rock band in the history of music. The KLF was Jimmy Cauty and Billy Drummond. Jimmy Cauty and a guy named Alex Patterson started a project called The Orb. And The Orb is considered the first ambient house project, but The Orb started out as it was a KLF side project, and basically Jimmy Cauty took what he had done with Alex Patterson and finished it as a record called Chill Out, which is a KLF record everyone should listen to. And basically like what these guys were playing in chill out rooms, these English raves, is they were playing lots of 70s electronic music and the Berlin School stuff. So I wanted to basically like make ambient house in the same way that the music that the people that kind of started the idea of ambient house were playing the records of. So it's kind of a historical thing, but then also like bringing in elements from like Chicago house and stuff like that. So like I had my drum machine case, I call it the Hot Mix 5, named after the guys that brought house music to the radio on WBMX in the 80s. And the Hot Mix 5 is a case containing what I call the Hot Mix 5, which was like my Electribe SX and my 909 and my 808 and my Juno 6 and my Zox box. And so I would bring that out, and I took that to a lot of Psytrance parties and gigs. And I replaced those drum machines with the TR8, well, 3 TR8s.
I was going to say, I saw your array of TR8s at Knobcon. You have a...
Yeah, I moved to the TR8 because when I built the Hot Mix 5, those drum machines were only worth like what, I don't know. Those drum machines were only worth like $3,000 when I built the Hot Mix 5. And by the time, it got to the point where it's like, okay, like I'm going out to a Psytrance party in a cornfield with like $8,000 worth of drum machine.
Yeah.
That I could probably replace with like $1,000 worth of Roland drum machine, And,
yeah.
And another thing is that like the TR8 just sounds great. And it's easier for me to make music with the TR8 than it is the old stuff because the interface is better.
Yeah.
So, for a long time, like digital simulations of the 808 and the 909 were completely inadequate.
Yeah.
And not usable in any kind of production scenario. And you had to have the original. And part of the reasons why I did that and I took that vintage stuff out is I wanted to put myself in the same driver's seat as the people that I looked up to.
Yeah.
Well, I had that experience, and now I can do something else. So. And
not jeopardize the originals.
Correct.
And with the ACB stuff that Roland's put out, it does sound really good. Even though some people still are giving him some shit about it.
I noticed on Octave One's, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Octave One, but they're a great techno duo from Detroit that play live gigs. And I noticed that Lenny is still using the TR8. He hasn't moved up to the TR8S yet. And
it's probably no need to, really.
It sounds great.
It's the same thing. It's just the 8S is updated, and you can add your own samples. But if you've got the TR8 with the 7x7 expansion, like you've got a lot of options there. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I've got a friend here. Something that's kind of exciting about having the Moog One here is being able to put it in front of somebody that wouldn't see the. Okay. One of my goals in getting into building synthesizer modules to begin with is I wanted to be able to provide circuits and musical experiences that had previously been out of the reach of people to them in a way that at least, if they could budget the money, they could get their hands on. For example, my envelope generator simulates the trapezoid in the Synthy 100, which is a synthesizer that almost nobody is ever going to be able to play. Okay, you have to have a massive amount of privilege to be able to play a Synthy 100 in 2018.
These are them.
So my envelope generator right there has a trapezoid, a Synthy 100 trapezoid mode on it. Not a Synthy A or VCS3 trapezoid mode, a Synthy 100 trapezoid mode. The Synthy 100 was the synthesizer used by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop on the Sea Devils, with Malcolm Clark, used for all sorts of sound effects and things like that. And also on the score to several Tarkovsky films, including Stalker. And basically, like, very few people are ever going to have the experience of playing a Synthy 100, but I can help them get part of the experience by giving them the trapezoid generator from it, right?
Yeah.
Now, this synthesizer behind me is not as rare or expensive as a Synthy 100, but it is still a little out of the reach of
the
people.
The everyday
budget,
musician,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And something that I'm really happy about is that my friend William is here, and he's able to play it and have experiences with it and make videos with it.
Yeah, and actually, I've got one queued up here of William meets the Moog One, and this is on the Suit and Tie Guy YouTube page. So, and he made all these sounds himself, yeah?
He programmed those patches himself, and he basically came over here and spent a few hours with it and learn. He can tell you a little bit more about what instruments he normally uses, but he programmed all of those sounds, and he programmed the split, and then he recorded it himself with his equipment. He plugged his roll and go mixer into my mixer and captured everything and used his iPhone and everything, and I just put it on my YouTube channel. So, but anyway, we get to have that, what's it like for somebody who normally can only afford to play a 20-year-old Nord lead? What can they do with the Moog One?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually go ahead and
pass it over to William.
The headset.
Cool.
Yeah. So So just I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi. Hello.
Hey, William. How you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Hey, nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah, you too.
We were just checking out your William meets the Moog One video on YouTube here.
Heck yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was really happy with how everything sounded with the chords and the bass line and everything. Yeah, okay, Suit was talking about, he mentioned something about Nord lead. So I'm used to playing a Nord lead too, and something I really like to do on it is the splits and layers sometimes.
Yes.
There's a really slick way to do a left hand bass or right hand whatever sound, and that's kind of how I usually end up doing things. Usually have some sort of drums going on, and I was excited that the Moog One has the multi-timbral kind of option and the split and layering option too. So, and
it's interesting.
I'd give it a crack.
Yeah, and one of the things that I noticed when they were doing demo videos of this at the Moog factory is that the way that's set up to access the different timbres on the synth reminds me a lot of the Nord lead stuff. Yeah,
for sure. I was it wasn't very hard for me to figure it out right off the bat.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with the Nord lead, it's that part of it is definitely seems like something that should be pretty easy to grasp onto for sure.
Yeah, and another reason I like stuff like that is for sequencing. So you don't have to have a bunch of different synthesizers. You can just use one synthesizer with multiple instances of itself. Sure. If you're using plugins and you have a plugin that you like, just kind of use different instances of it.
Yeah, same kind of thing. So overall
Yeah, for sure.
impressions of the Moog then, of the new Moog One, you love it?
You know, I didn't. Yeah, I really do. I really love the sound quality. Pretty much wherever you take the patch, the frequencies are all kind of in a nice sweet spot, and everything sounds good. And for lack of a better term, maybe organic. Like, I know that gets pretty overused, but I think it's organic in a way as it sounds like the same set of frequencies as a lot of musical instruments, not maybe synthesizers, but like organs or violins or something, you know. I think it's pretty easy to get that.
I agree. It definitely has that kind of organic feel. So this was pretty impressive because you're using the multi-timbrality and you're jamming out live. And then what is the drum machine that's here? In this?
Yeah. Which one are you looking at? Are you looking at the one with the circuit?
This one right here.
Oh no, that was the MPC.
Okay, that's an MPC there. I'm not super familiar with those
the
sites.
blue guy.
Yeah, I saw your circuit video too. You have a newer one. I can try and pull that up real quick. But yeah, so
that first video was a little bit simpler. The chords were a little simpler. The tune was a little simpler, and the drum beat was just like one bar. I just repeated it and it went over and over. But I don't know. I'm down with simple tunes as long as you're getting the point across. The newer one, I think, on the newer one I had I used one more sound. I used like kind of an arpeggio kind of drone sound almost, and I just let that play in the background.
That's just going in the background. Yeah, so you used all three timbres in this tune.
Yep, went all out.
And something like the circuit is really good for doing some of the drum sequencing and adding that element in. So did you mix everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the Moog One then, or did you do did you mix these? Yeah, or did you mix it?
No, we went out to a mixer.
Okay.
All the effects were from the Moog, but it went out to a mixer.
Yeah, you did great work on this.
Thank you. I was pretty flattered. A lot of good compliments on the YouTube comment section. This guy, TimeCop 1983, said he really liked it and really liked the simple sounds. I had never heard of him before, but I went and looked up his music, and it was all pretty cool. The stuff I'm into, you know?
Yeah.
So I was flattered that people out there making music thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It's a nice,
Thank you.
And also a nice way to show off this synthesizer as well, and some of the things it can do.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of complex patches out there for it. I think plenty of people are going to like max it out with modulation and whatnot, but I figured I just like to do simple sounds. It sounds great no matter what you do with it. Yeah. So it worked out really well.
And just because there's a feature doesn't mean you have to use it. So as long as you're getting what you want out of the instrument, that's all that really matters. That's something I had to learn early on when I started producing is there's different genres of music, and not everything's crazy, full of all kinds of melodies and stuff. So there's some really chill stuff. And it's the same kind of thing here. Like, it's just however you want to express yourself with the instrument. And as long as you can put together something that's coherent and sounds good, that's kind of the main thing. And have fun doing it, hopefully,
Yeah, and sometimes I find the simple stuff to be more effective even than really busy music.
Yeah.
But
so
that's just kind of my own take.
Stepping up to this thing, were you pretty intimidated, or did you just jump right in?
A little bit. Suit has a lot of kind of high-grade synths around, like the old vintage stuff. There's a CS50 right here. That's a kind of a big baller guy. I don't know. I know my way around analog subtractive synthesis enough that I don't know. I gave it a shot.
Well, and you've done a fantastic job, and it's really cool that that this has been something that you've been able to try out and have a good time with. Do you have a?
Yeah, I definitely. What was that?
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you have a SoundCloud or a website or something that you like to.
Damn, I really should. I am about to get cooking on making a lot of tunes here, and I've got a lot of stuff in my head, and what I've been playing. But I think what we're gonna do is maybe do more of these videos and put them on SoundCloud or maybe Bandcamp, probably.
Okay.
And just do it as like an album. But no, I really don't have anything currently, like some plink around stuff. But
when you get that all set up, let me know, and we'll put a link in the video description here for everyone to check you out when that goes live. Otherwise, in the meantime, they can just, I guess, subscribe to the Suit and Tie Guy YouTube channel. If there's going to be more videos, they can catch those there. And the two that you've done so far, hats off, sir. It's a fantastic job. It's truly impressive.
Thanks. I think I'm gonna just keep trying to like step it up each time. I think the next time I want to do something a little. I'm thinking maybe sequence a bass line and just kind of go all out with trying to play something more exciting and kind of funky on maybe some sort of keyboard sound like clavinet or electric piano kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I'll be waiting for that.
Heck yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Alrighty.
Well, William, it's great to meet you, sir.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for
having me on. I'll pass you right back to Suit.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Suit's back. Look at the
yeah, I think that adjust the camera a little bit for him, but I think that I'm back to where I was.
Yeah, I think you're good. Let's check. Yes, sir. Look at that. I like your jacket, man.
Thanks. I just got this. This is the first time I've worn this jacket. I went to the clothing store to buy some pants
and you wound up with the jacket.
Hey, yeah, I wound up getting this jacket too, and I was like, okay. I thought it would be good for camera stuff. Believe it or not. So.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Thanks.
I like it. Well, Suit, I'm pretty much done, I think, unless you have anything else you'd like to add here for the show, for the viewers.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for listening, and I hope that they got something out of this interview. And I'm really glad to finally get to do something with you, Marshall. I like what you're doing with your channel. I think it's very exciting. I think that like live streaming is the future, and that it's good to see that there's people already, doing that in the Synthesizer YouTube scene. So. Well,
thank you. That's a huge compliment. And coming from you, I'm very humbled, and I'm super excited that you were able to come on here and chat with me and share some of this with my viewers. And I can't say thank you enough. I'm just, I'm very humbled. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, so that's going to do it for today's interview. So thank you very much, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back as soon as I can. Have a good one.